The last 2 years have tested, I'm 43, so this war started when I was 41. And all of those insights were put to the test during this war. It's cliche. I'm a massive Michael Jordan fan. And there's this bit where he's interviewed in 94 or 95, and he speaks about his father being murdered. And it's one of the only bits I've ever seen him crying in. He says that he was faced with the one mantra that his dad told him that he had to employ, which is no matter what, try to turn a negative into a positive.
Welcome to another episode of Coffeez.
So I'm actually here on behalf of two companies. Big one is Arc Empowerment, and that one really turns professional services on its head. It serves professional services in legal, banking, business advisory, and financial advisory, AI first, which means new entrepreneurs can engage these agents who serve as their professional advisors directly online. But unlike all other AI solutions, our agents are coded with humility, which means that when they understand that they are in a really complex situation, which secret, there aren't that many complex situations, but when you get to a complex one, they call an expert human into the fray, right? To give their 2 cents. We prioritize only getting the 2 cents from the human. The rest can be done by AI. And that's how we turn professional services on its head. Because today, most professional service companies will say, oh, we are adopting AI tools to make our services for you better. They still own you as their client. And we're turning that around. The other company is called For Posterity. And it was born from the challenge of Arc. The challenge of Arc is getting a lot of scattered information from a client as an advisor and giving the client output in a structured manner, like a memo or a contract or a piece of advice, right? For Posterity is different. The scattered input is the story of an elderly person, your grandfather at, family dinner. That's the scattered input. The structured output is an immediate 100 to 250 page book telling their story in a respectful manner for next generations. So For Posterity can take any unstructured content, any recording you do, no questionnaire, no like tedious process that might sort of like push away the elderly. Just tell that story for 4 minutes, you get a book back. And obviously I say the elderly because our mission is to preserve legacies one story at a time, but this applies to everyone. You could tell the story of your business success, the roller coaster that you were on. 5 minutes, just spit out some knowledge, and it will structure it as a book. It doesn't purport to be a bestseller, but your great grandkids who would have otherwise probably forgotten us, they'll know, they will be able to engage with your life and understand where they came from. That's the idea.
Nice. Yeah, that would have saved me a fortune when I wrote my book.
Mine as well. I wrote one as well. Cost a lot of money. I treated that expense as an investment in myself and my well-being. But in retrospect, yeah, For Posterity would have saved a lot of their money as well.
Now, Arc's a pretty amazing AI platform. I like to ask everybody, what's your morning routine?
Well, it would be disingenuous to say that the last 2 years in Israel were anything routine. So whilst others might be able to share that tidbit, for me, it's been complete madness for the last 2 years. I've left a law firm in which I was a partner for 10 years and overall 17 years at this firm. I managed the startup practice there, had 650 clients, which professional service providers know each client is like a relationship. So I had to dismantle 650 relationships. I was trying to run 2 companies because I truly believe that in the AI age, you can do multiple things at once, which is a problem because you need to convince everyone in your life why you're taking this entrepreneurial risk and why you're doing it against the focus textbook sort of thing with 2 ideas. 3, there's been a war raging in our country, and I participated for 4 months in reserves duty. I was called up to it in the beginning of the war, which ironically was the only thing that gave me a routine during those 4 months, and the only thing that enabled me to dismantle those 650 relationships, because everybody understood that I had to go. And by the time it was over, I told them, listen, enjoy your new partners at the firm. I need to do something else, or else I'll go completely mad. So I'm sorry I didn't answer with like a clear routine, but I hope that once we complete our seed, we raised pre-seed for each company. Now we're raising our seed money. When we complete it, then I'm actually going to look to people like you to people like David who's walking around here, and to understand their routines and try to learn from them.
Yeah, I know it's been upheaval in Israel, and I'm sorry if I hit on a sensitive subject, but let me ask you candidly and personally, how has it been dealing with the turmoil in Israel over the last couple of years and establishing a new business and raising a family and just kind of dealing with all of the stress of war?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say for the rest of the conversation, I'm an open book and I'm happy for you to ask all these questions. I really like the environment here. I genuinely say this. Like, visiting your office in this space has been just one of the highlights of our week here abroad. So please feel free to ask any question. Um, the last 2 years have tested. I'm 43, so this war started when I was 41. I had collected insights that I had about the first third or whatever, hopefully third of my life, not half, right? Collected insights about what made me happy and what I think could make others happy and my daughters happy. And all of those insights were put to the test during this war. And, it's cliche. I'm a massive Michael Jordan fan, and not only for the basketball. There's a bobbing head over there of MJ, and there's this bit where he's interviewed in '94 or '95, and he speaks about his father being murdered, and it's one of the only bits I've ever seen him crying in genuinely until the last dance, but about something personal, and he says that he was faced with the one mantra that his dad told him that he had to employ in dealing with his dad's murder, which is no matter what, try to turn a negative into a positive. And that's what he was doing with his father. And actually, that's been with me throughout the entire last 2 years. I refuse to view this turmoil in negative terms. It has happened. Everything that is negative in this turmoil, and you as a financial expert will, I think, appreciate this reference.
And a Jordan expert, by the way.
And a Jordan expert, I assume that as well. So everything that has happened in this turmoil is sunk. It has happened. So once you have something that is sunk, that has happened, the only challenge you have is what positive do you extract from it? And that's what I try to explain to my daughters as well, and the people around me. At times that is faced with a lot of cynicism, because whilst a lot of it has happened, we still have 50 people there under the tunnels. We have to face our inclination to vengeance. We are, as a collective, we are a vengeful people right now, and you would expect that. This is what made Bruce Wayne Batman, right? So, but then vengefulness that puts you in a situation of a lot of ethical situations that you have to deal with. I serve in an unmanned airborne vehicle unit, and you make a lot of decisions in that capacity that are problematic, and you have to tame that vengeance. And that vengeance may feel justified because what happened on October 7th was beyond evil to us. And then you have to think about, okay, what am I learning from this, and how is this not happening again in a region where everybody says, no, it's going to be happening forever? So I've mainly tried to look at the positive, and I'm extremely optimistic about the future. I think that it's always darkest before the dawn. So the darker it gets, the closer you are to the dawn. That's what I feel. I truly believe that. And I have geopolitical explanations about why that's going to be the case, but maybe that's for a different podcast. It's a long conversation.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. And I did a podcast before you got here about gratitude and kind of just being thankful in all circumstances, and and just kind of practicing gratitude to get you through those things and turning negatives into positives. And I was like, some days I just don't feel like being thankful, right? Some days we're just like, how am I going to be thankful? I just went through this war, I went through this hell, and it's like, where it all starts? It's like, take a deep breath and be like, I'm thankful just for that.
I love that.
Just for the breath that you just took. And it put things in reality for me, like in a context for me that I could really understand. Because sometimes it's like, I'm hit with this lawsuit, I'm hit with that, I'm hit with, some sort of attack. Because the bigger and the more successful you get, the more you're attacked. And I always reference Donald Trump, like, how many attacks are on Donald Trump? He's been someone I've looked up to and admired, not way before he was president. One of the only books I read as a kid was The Art of the Deal. Like as a child, I'm talking like 11.
When I get attacked, if I'm in a funny mood, when I get like attacked right now, or what I did in my as a lawyer, I would say, okay, I'm closer to becoming the president of the United States, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One closer
Yeah.
step.
There's I like that. I like the reference to just taking a deep breath and saying thank you for that. I have like my daughters. Ironically, when do you deal with that? Like there's a siren, you run to the bomb shelter, you're sitting in the like my youngest is 7, she's panicking in the bomb shelter, and we're like, oh, she's not going to get out of this. She's going to be with this scar for her entire life. And then my older daughter does something funny and makes her laugh. And then you're like, well, you know what? No other 2 siblings are having this sort of bonding out of the entire 9 billion people on Earth. There's like 2 siblings who just got this forged in fire moment that I wouldn't have transacted for in the first place. I wouldn't say, oh, please give me an existential war with missiles and everything so that my daughters can have this sibling moment. But that's already happened. This war is happening. So I'm grateful for this like sibling moment that nobody else has. They got this head start now in a meritocratic capitalistic system, which I believe is strong and good. They have a head start. They just got faster. I'm happy for that. And closer.
It's a lot to take in. Now, let me ask you this. How did you transition from corporate law into launching ARC Empowerment and building a movement around AI for professional services? How did it all start?
I originally did not want to be a lawyer. I felt that I was separated too many degrees of separation from the act of creation and innovation. I loved innovation from my early years in the Army because we were basically a startup company for UAVs. So I viewed law as my 10,000 hours of being close to entrepreneurs. I read Outliers, and that's what I wanted to do. Eventually, I did 45,000 hours because I double billed. No, because I worked with a lot of great companies and I wanted to stay in that profession. But because I didn't want to be a lawyer in the first place, I was always critical of the professional service industry. I was like a Trojan horse in there, looking at its weaknesses and its fallacies. And to me, if you ask me on a bad day what I do, I say, well, I run a non-disclosure agreement Ponzi scheme. That's what I do. And my product is turning Word documents into PDFs, because when drafts are signed, that's when I have any meaning. And I'm like, that was on a bad day. But in reality, I was looking at this profession and I'm like, wow, this is like, there's a bunch of people on the top who have seen thousands of transactions, hundreds more transactions than you would see in your business, than any successful investor and entrepreneur would see in their business. And they played both sides, and they know how all the decision trees end up. That's the select few partners at the top. And you want their 2 cents because they are the data set that you need to access for your decision making, plus your business intuition, which of course comes into play in your understanding of your own corporate culture. But you want to access their understanding. And in exchange for their 2 cents, for which you pay the fractional amount of their high hourly rate, you engage in a fraudulent pact with the pyramid of humans underneath them who are not even close to your experience, right? That is a problematic engagement. Something has to break that engagement. Something has to enable you to get those 2 cents, and that's it, without having to pay for all this. And you know what? Pay $10,000 for those 2 cents, but don't feed the beast with $100,000 to pay, to get those 2 cents. And then when AI came in, when I got the link to GPT in September 2022, I'm like, thank God it's happening. It's done. It's done. The thing that they're charging for that takes time, the creation of words, it's over. Because I know already to assume the exponential in technology. Now, how do you harness it? Because with all due respect to OpenAI, they ain't going to own the end client relationship. They're going to sell an API just like Microsoft sells Microsoft Office to organizations, but they're not going to to transform into a consulting firm. That doesn't make sense for them. They're already
They're just
upstream.
brokering their API.
Yeah, they're upstream. They can do it for everything.
Yeah.
But whoever owns the relationship with the client can start taking the consumer surplus, like what the client's really willing to pay for the 2 cents if they monetize it right. And that's why we built Arc. It's from an economic place. It's not like a younger entrepreneur would say, it takes too long to prepare documents. Let's do something that makes more efficient the preparation process of documents, right? Now, I'm like, no, I want to bring the whole system down. I want to build a company that in the future will be one of the big 6 professional service firms in the world, but it will be built like Salesforce. It will be built like Microsoft. It will be a tech company for all intents and purposes.
So explain to me the framework of ARC. It's a company that is mitigating the cost of professional services, preparing a lot of the documentation up front, but it doesn't replace professional services. It just enhances the relationship.
Well, I believe that professional service providers will be replaced not in one go, but rather incrementally. So let's go back to when you
beginning with lawyers.
Yeah, beginning with no
lawyers
problem.
Are the first. You know who the biggest the people that hate ChatGPT and AI the most is my lawyers.
Yeah, of course they do. And you know the ironic thing about it, by the way, to check this out, is if you IPO your company, the best document to prepare with GPT is the document they would have charged you the most for, which is your prospectus, because there are so many public prospectuses. So GPT doesn't have to guess as much. That's a real sucker for them, because they would have taken $1 million for your prospectus, but now you bring them like a fully baked product with no problem. GPT-5, a bit of Claude put in there. You get a great document because that's publicly available. So the way it's done is incrementally. It's not that we respect the transition period. You can't just come to all taxi drivers, all of them, and say, autonomous cars, you're out of a job. Good luck. Go scavenge. You can't do that. It has to be incremental. So how does it work? You're a founder. You just incorporated your company. There are 400,000 of you every year in the US alone who just incorporated their company. What do you need to do? You got a business partner. You need a founder's agreement. Go to ARC. It'll prepare a founder's agreement for you. Oh,
but GPT will prepare a founder's agreement now.
No, it'll substantively prepare a founder's agreement for you. It will advise you, actively initiate advice to you to install a reverse vesting mechanism. When you ask it, how many years of reverse vesting should I put on my co-founder? It will ask you what exactly your business is. It won't answer you. It'll ask you, what is your business? Is it long time to market medical device, or is it a quick time to market device? Because if it's quick, 3 years, and if it's long, 4 years. Should there be acceleration if you let your co-founder go? Yeah, GPT might say that the acceleration is prevalent on the vesting, but actually there shouldn't be acceleration. If you let your co-founder go for any reason, they shouldn't hold on to the equity. That'll kill your business. Maybe you can give them, 2 months extra worth of equity if you let them go because you have the majority, but that's it. But what's prevalent statistically in the GPT data set is that there does exist acceleration in founder repurchase agreements, because founder repurchase agreements are also signed vis-a-vis investors, and with investors you do ask for acceleration. So it would have not even, first of all, it wouldn't have given you advice, and had it given you advice, it would have been the wrong advice. Furthermore, you might not even have a founder. Maybe you're just shooting the shit with GPT about getting a founder, in which case ARC is connected to databases and will help you find a founder. If your founder leaves, it'll help you broker the relationship. It will initiate a conversation with you about your one-pager. And when you completed your one-pager with ARC, ARC will say, hey, we checked our database. These are the investors you can get to through us and our network. Not cold calls from an AI, but rather these humans are affiliated with ARC. These humans know those humans. Those humans will invest in you because of XYZ, because we read your one-pager. Do you want an intro? All the emails are drafted. And most importantly, when something extreme happens, ARC will say, you want to get your lawyer on the line to look at this? You're looking to fire someone who is terminally ill, God forbid, and you have every right to fire him or her, but the law might protect them. And this is like a real nuance, because they're specifically hired in England and you don't really know the law there. Do you want to get your lawyer on the line? And you would say, yeah, I agree. We need a human on this one. But my lawyer isn't available. He's snowboarding. in wherever in Utah. So ARC will say, okay, do you want to get another lawyer on the line for this question? Bam, the lawyer joins the conversation and you have a three-way conversation with another lawyer who's available. That's democratizing professional services. You don't need the same lawyer for every question you have. You need the same lawyer for the really heavy stuff that require 20 years of knowing you, right? But you know full well that about 80% of the questions you ask your lawyer, you could have received from another 80 lawyers at the same time if they were more available. You just asked your lawyer those questions because there's this like exclusive relationship with your consigliere and confidant and all that shit. But, you know, that's not
I
efficient.
love the democratization of professional services. I love the concept. And I guess you're in the middle of seed funding right now. You're basically it's and do you intend to go IPO with this? And where is this in the process now?
We have raised 1.5 million US. Israeli companies are very lean. We have 11 people. My CTO, by the way, Aviv, is a prodigy when it comes to AI. He's been doing it since he was 18, well before these systems were out.
21.
Yeah, he looks young, doesn't he? Yeah. He's enjoying it. He built a research agent for NASA in a competition, won second place out of 300 companies that applied alone or with a friend. Or my CFO, who's a co-founder, was 15 years in Deloitte and Ernst & Young, a CPA. So he knows the financial side. My COO was COO in a company from a former founder of Oculus. And our chairman was the CEO, 73, was CEO of 3 NASDAQ traded companies in the 90s and managing partner in 2 massive Israeli VCs in the early 2000s. So we've got that structure. We raised 1.5. I think, but we're launching this complex product, on the 1st of October. We're launching.
The product's not live. ARC's not live yet.
No, well, if you call me, you could use it right now, but it's not live. It'll be live on the 1st of October. It is a deep system to build. Other people will say, oh, this is a wrapper. So no wrapper by any means. So it's taken 1.5 years to develop this thing.
But it's in beta with you and test people.
It has been tested by quite a few companies already. They love it. We fixed what they asked us to fix.
What's going to be the cost monthly fee for this?
$200 is what I believe we will get out of a user per month. How do we get it per month? Doesn't mean they pay $200 a month in the early going. Pay $50 a month in the early going, but they will start paying per action when they increase their usage. And then I believe it'll peter out around $250 a month, because that's sort of what you pay GPT Pro, but you get much more in ARC, and it's LLM agnostic. We do Perplexity, Gemini, deep research functions when we need them, not when we don't, etc. Right? Llama. So we're agnostic. You get the intros. I believe they'll transition. They're business conversations. Like I believe where it ends is that you have your personal existence with GPT or with Claude, if they overtake them, or other. You have your professional AI existence. Certainly, if you're an entrepreneur, and in the future, perhaps in more mature companies, in ARC. What do we do with a company? I would love for someone to say, "I get your thesis. You've seen enough to make this an educated thesis. Here are $6 million to $8 million to conquer the world," because that's pretty much all we need for our seed. What will happen in reality is that we need to launch our product, show usage, and probably then the VCs will come to us and we'll have a selection of venture capitalists to choose from. In my heart of hearts, I've seen some entrepreneurs get that funding on an idea, but this is a big play in a very competitive space. Hypersaturated. You yourself said that you saw a company that does something similar. Just when I described ARC to you, perhaps
professional services specifically for lawyers, but you're talking about encapsulating every professional service and going a little bit above and beyond and actually doing a lot of the work that the professional services would provide, and then getting it to like 80% of the finish line, the last 20%.
You got it. But you see what happened there? It took me.
But that's a hard thing to explain.
Exactly. It took me
to a dummy. Now explain that to my 10-year-old daughter.
Yeah, it's tough. And
or your daughters.
It can't.
How?
Can't. And it took me 10. It took me.
But it should, because your kids know ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, my daughter knows how to sell for Posterity now. She's going to be selling it around the school, like the book company. So we'll start with that. And ironically, my daughters use GPT to calm them down when they're scared, with the missile sirens and stuff like that. So I'm sure as they grow and they understand what counseling is, they'll get what ARC does. But the fact that it took me being invited to your podcast and like a 20-minute conversation to explain it is why I guess we'll raise the VC money after we have some usage.
Yeah, I think the easiest way is just to dumb it down, the use case. Like maybe ask GPT, how do I dumb this down for a 10-year-old?
Yeah, that's a good. I'll do it.
Just like dumb this down to a 10-year-old's.
I will.
Understanding.
When you're in love with when you're an entrepreneur and you're like in love with your vision and your idea, you get so deep into it and you don't dumb it down. You don't sell. You don't do the closing. You don't do the closing, so you don't get coffee.
That's right. Yeah. You got to dumb this down. Now, what through For Posterity, which is, by the way, it's a crazy name, For Posterity. How'd you come up with that name?
I like the word posterity. The product is called Vona. So you go to studio.vonastory.ai or app.vonastory.ai, or just go to vonastory.ai, VONA, and you just speak with Vona. But the company is called For Posterity because we're thinking about next generations.
Gotcha. Now, for posterity, you use storytelling to preserve legacy. That's a little bit easier to understand, by the way, than ARC. Yeah. What story are you telling through runway building for startups?
I like the rapper story, the rapper narrative, underdog coming up from the slums and making a big name and a big career for themselves. I actually, ironically, like what I heard here, I like going from like not enough to more than enough. Like to not having enough to more than enough. I like frankly, it's cliche. I like the American dream. It's what can I say?
We're waiting for you. Let me tell you, don't move to anywhere but Orange County here, right here.
Oh, we're loving it here. This is
the best place in America.
We're loving it here. Yeah. We're
notably Newport Beach.
It's a date. Look, no offense to the folks at Palo Alto, but we were walking there for the last week, and I'm afraid that they got gut punched during COVID, and they haven't. I didn't find the oomph there that I thought I would. Certainly not what I have in Tel Aviv. And here, it's like in these office spaces, there's energies, crazy. I love it.
Yeah. We're pretty blessed here. Now, looking back, whether on a pitch, a boardroom, personal low moment, which insight would early Nimrod be proud to see today?
In me.
Yeah.
To the point where it pisses off my friends and my family, I refuse to believe that any person in my life is serving the role of the villain in my sort of like story. I refuse to believe that someone is being nefarious or malicious towards me. It's to the point where if I'm in a red light, the second car and the first car is just not moving for the entire, period of the green light.
I'm doing a video about that, like a comedy video about
really?
That. Like, yeah, it's coming out. You'll see it.
So I think we have a lot of things that we maybe think about in our different continents. They're saying I wouldn't honk the horn because I tell myself this story of what's happening to this person, who of course is on their phone and don't give a crap. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. I don't believe that any person has villainous intentions. And what this does for me is that I have zero paranoia. All I need to do to deal with a situation is reverse engineer someone's, actions towards me or towards my company or towards my family. I just have to reverse engineer them to core and understand what interests led them to where they are. Now, it doesn't change how I'd act towards them, but it removes the concept of actual villainy or evil from the table. Like, oh, a lot of people are coming to get me. The founders that I represented over the years were always so paranoid about their co-founders screwing them or their investors screwing them. Instead of seeing the slow evolution of events, the slow chain of events that would have led to something like that. So you just want to sort of like monitor that and not feel like everybody's coming to get you. And I'm proud. My younger self would be very proud of me because I've managed to do that with our enemies. Like they did evil things. Their actions were evil towards us. And we have to take care of that right now. We have to save our people. However, we shouldn't be misguided to believe that they will randomly continue to be evil for the rest of time. We must take action to understand what happens, what leads a person to be in that state. Not what we did that caused them to be in that state. I'm not taking here any, necessarily responsibility for it. But if we understand what happens, especially in the education system, for example, then once this war is over and we do what we need to do and we finish it, then we focus on that. Like, can people just start at the age of 6 without being taught to hate? Maybe a different chain of events will evolve, and it's already, by the way, happening in the south of Gaza. There are new schools being opened, and suddenly the school play isn't about what they were before. And I am optimistic. I'm eternally optimistic. You can call me stupid, but optimistic. But if I won't be optimistic, then there's no point in doing business. There's no point in investing. There's no point in doing anything, and certainly not raising kids.
And
if you're not
optimistic. It's starting startups and trying to. You got to be optimistic. Now, one thing I learned from a podcast that's airing right now, I had the pleasure of interviewing Huron Gracie, who's the son of Horion Gracie, who was the founder of the UFC.
Yeah,
the Gracie family. And he said, this is the prince of jiu-jitsu, he said, I said, what's the biggest lesson that jiu-jitsu has taught you? He's like, you know what it taught me? It's like that everything in life is going to be okay. If there's bombs thrown, if something happens, my dad dies, everything's going to be okay. And that concept stuck with me because, like, regardless of what happens, life goes on, everything's going to be okay. And it is what it is, So it's just something tough to deal with when you're being bombed. It's like just, to be grateful for that bombing. It's hard to understand. But you still have that breath to take.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to focus. Now it's easier because you sort of like focused on just the breathtaking. And I like that a lot. Yeah. I would have thought that Gracie would have said that what he learned is that everything needs to be taken down to ground level.
Yeah, you guys know about Gracie because you guys are kings of Krav Maga there. So.
Yeah, well, we sort of like, we do Krav Maga is more about like unfair fighting at eye level, but Gracie would have just taken down anyone, right? 200, 300 pounds to the floor.
Easy, no problem.
Yeah.
He's like 6'4".
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's 6'4". He kind of looks like you, 6'4", really ripped.
Wow. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple last questions. What's a personal goal that you have for yourself, a business goal that you have for the business, and a family goal that you have for the family?
I would like, it's written in the book that I wrote, it's Prompting Happiness. My North Star is legacy. That's my North Star. I would like to have something in this world that transcends my existence. I would like my wife, my spouse, to live out her dream life as my partner, like to live out her dream life, and for me to be her partner. And no matter what, I would like my daughters to have a better life than me, and to somehow manage to retain the lessons that I've learned from mine. Because otherwise, you get into that loop of, hard times make hard people make easy times make weak people make hard times. I don't want to get to that, but I would like them to evolve, to be an evolution of where I'm at, and correct for my mistakes, etc. And I would like to continue. I would like to treat like the pursuit of happiness as a continuous journey that you always correct for. Can I make a small reference?
Yes.
Literary reference. I read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy basically says, spoiler, the meaning of life is 42. And then the people in the book asked this computer that calculated the meaning of life, what the hell are we supposed to do with that piece of information? The meaning of life is 42. So the computer told them, you didn't ask the right question. So you only got the answer, but you didn't ask the question for which the answer is 42. So they said, well, tell us the question. He said, I'm not a strong enough computer. You have to live your life to actually get to that question. So I have 4 questions that guide me for which the quote unquote, like funny, ironic answer is 42. And they are, how many memories must I constantly look to erase in order to escape the weight of my past? Like, not all of it, just 42, right? How many dreams should I forsake? Because I have a bunch of ideas for companies and startups. So how many dreams must I put aside to truly embrace the present? It's 42. How many things that are told to me as absolute truths should I dismiss as fallacies because of this age of disinformation in order to really continue to pursue the truth? And the final one, which is the most important one, at each point in time, no matter what, how many acts of kindness are you away from pure contentment? Like, only 42 acts of kindness, you'd be happy, like at each point in time. So I want to sort of live by that. That sort of guides me. Where did I get 3 of those 4 questions? When I turned 42, I went into GPT and I said, hey, mofo, it's time. I'm 42. Tell me the question for which the answer is 42 from Hitchhiker's Guide. And GPT answers, oh, I've been waiting for someone to ask me this. And it gives me all the questions, because the book doesn't give you that respite. It doesn't give you the answers. Powerful, right?
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So you got that from GPT 2 years ago.
I got that from GPT a year ago when I was 42. You're half a year older than me.
I got 6 months.
Sorry, did I reveal something?
Yeah, hey, 44 soon.
Yeah,
24 hours.
Wow!
Last question. Last question for you. When you're in front of the pearly gates, what do you think God's going to tell you?
Oh, you were fun to watch.
Nimrod, that's the coolest answer I've ever had on the show. If people want to connect with you, how do they find you?
Right now it's LinkedIn, but I'll do my homework. You told me that I don't have a digital presence.
Brand building is everything, especially in the age of AI. How can ChatGPT or Arc or Gemini or Claude make a decision to work with you if it cannot aggregate or reason from the data that it has online? Has nothing on you other than this podcast, which is not even up yet.
To be fair, online is a bunch of stuff, but I don't maintain it religiously on my social platforms, which I must. That's what I need to fix.
I mean, online there's a bunch of stuff, but like quotes, podcasts, videos.
I need to be there.
You know, like everything that we say on this show, everything that you've ever published, every book, that book, I'm hoping it's in Kindle form.
It is an audiobook read by my voice, but not by me.
I was going to do my audiobook like that. And I was like, oh, do I do it? I already read a couple chapters, like, because it's so hard to go through my book and do that. But I just haven't had the time to do that.
But no, I'll send you a company and it'll be your voice. You'll record yourself like in Mission Impossible, saying like 5 sentences.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Is that 11 Labs like we were going to do?
Well, no, this to use your voice, really, I think it's a different solution that my publisher used. They just recorded me for 5 minutes.
And it sounded good?
Sounds awesome.
Okay, cool.
I had someone like listen to the whole thing and they're like, I sent it to my best friend and he said, that's you. With
the same like delivery of a sentence?
The same delivery, which mine is like a bit wacky, the same wacky delivery. Insane.
Yes. Yeah, we're both wacky. I need that because I don't have 10 hours. It's going to be like 15 hours to just record my book. Like, I don't have the time. Well, yeah, we're going to work on that. But everything you do, everything is uploaded. Everything is like now. The cool thing is, AI, it can reason and make decisions for people. So that, in this world, AI indexing, and that's going to be the book I'm going to publish next. AI indexing, the importance of AI indexing, and it's not just personal brand; it's who you are. It's everything that you say. And consumers are looking to make a decision based on what ChatGPT tells them. It's not them making the decision anymore. AI makes the decision. And if it can't reason based on the data it aggregates from all the different sources, you got nothing. So
a few thousand years ago,
they would have thought we were crazy.
Well, people thought we were crazy, but it happened like a few thousand years ago. Somebody took whatever, what do you call it when you write on a stone? I don't know what you use, but somebody took that and wrote on a stone. Big nail. Yeah, big nail. Thanks. Wrote on a stone. That's a Rosetta Stone. And that is like how we know, to interpret different languages, Latin languages today. or to connect them to Egyptian hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphics. Yeah, that's how we know that. We are now living in a moment in time where each and every one of us are writing on the Rosetta Stone of the future. If we don't write on it, it's not there. Some other story is going to be told when people pick this up 5,000 years from now. This whole thing that we're doing, this is an encryption on the Rosetta Stone of the future. If you don't do it, it's gone.
Brand.
Yeah.
That right there, the encryption, your personal brand is the encryption on the Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, truly believe that. Right now, LinkedIn, though, if somebody wants to get a hold.
Nimrod, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. I look forward to connecting with you, diving deeper. You're a brilliant guy. God bless you. I hope you hit every one of your goals, and I'll see you in heaven. Let's go.
Same here. Thank you. Same here.